Christmas monster. I glanced up from my phone at the sound of a loud, angry voice. I was waiting in line at my favorite coffee shop, about to text my roommate to see if he wanted anything. The yelling came from the woman right in front of me. She was middle-aged, with short, bleached blonde hair. Her red sweater, covered in reindeer, stretched tight over her frame. Her leggings were too snug, and her so-called designer boots looked like cheap knockoffs. The woman was berating the poor cashier, her voice sharp and full of venom. The entire coffee shop went quiet as everyone turned to watch the scene unfold. The man and woman behind me exchanged awkward glances. A frazzled shopper loaded down with bags stood frozen near the counter. At a corner table, a dad and his 2 kids looked up from a video playing on his phone. The whole shop held its breath, except for the tinny Christmas carols playing on the speakers. The woman's voice cut through the silence with that dreaded demand that always makes a bad situation worse. "I want to speak to your manager." I winced, feeling a pang of sympathy for the exhausted cashier. She looked like she'd been on her feet all day, just trying to get through her shift on Christmas Eve. Of course, they were out of whatever this woman wanted. It was nearly closing time after all. "Ma'am, I'm very sorry," the cashier said, her voice straining to stay polite. "We've run out of that drink. Could I offer you something else? Maybe our hot chocolate?" "You can get me your manager," the woman snapped. "How are you even employed? This is unbelievable." The cashier's forced smile wavered. "The manager is on a break, ma'am. Please, there are children here. Let's keep it civil." "Civil?" the woman screeched, her face contorted in rage. "You are incompetent. Get me the manager right now. You're a complete disgrace." I stepped back, bumping into the guy behind me. "Sorry," I muttered. "It's fine," he said, pulling out his phone to start recording. I knew where this was headed. It was about to get ugly. "You are stupid," the woman spat, emphasizing each word as if speaking to a small child. "I can't believe the terrible service. I'm leaving a review, and you're going to get fired." The cashier's face hardened. "I don't have to call the manager, Catherine," she said, her voice dropping into a dangerous tone. "How dare you call me that?" The woman stomped her foot, actually stomped, like a toddler throwing a tantrum. "You're done here. I want your manager now." I stumbled back, knocking over a display of Christmas-themed mugs. They crashed to the floor, shattering into pieces. I barely noticed. Something about the cashier's expression had changed, and it sent a shiver down my spine. It wasn't just exhaustion or frustration. It was something darker. Then, everything happened at once. The cashier launched herself onto the counter, her movements fast and fluid like a predator pouncing. The cash register toppled off, crashing to the floor, spilling money everywhere. No one made a move for it. We were all too stunned, frozen in place. The woman took a step back, colliding into me. I shoved her away instinctively, my heart pounding. The cashier roared, an inhuman sound that made the hair on my arms stand up. It wasn't a noise any human should be able to make. Suddenly, the cashier's chest erupted. Blood, fabric, and flesh exploded. exploded outward. I felt a warm, sticky spray hit my face. I gagged, nearly throwing up. A bloody arm had burst through the cashier's chest, gripping the screaming woman's throat. The woman's eyes bulged as she tried to scream, but the monstrous hand squeezed tighter, cutting off her voice. The cashier grinned, baring long, sharp teeth that glistened in the dim shop lights. All around me, people were screaming. Kids were wailing in terror. The shopper dropped her bags and fled for the door. The dad pulled his kids away, swearing as they stumbled over their chairs. The man behind me was still filming, even as his partner tugged on his arm, shouting at him to run. I wanted to scream too, wanted to move, but I was rooted to the spot, unable to look away. The monstrous arm lifted the woman high into the air and slammed her face first onto the counter. I heard the sickening crack of her nose breaking. Blood splattered across the counter. The woman's body went limp, but the cashier wasn't finished. She lifted her again and slammed her down a second time. Then a third, and a fourth, over and over, until the counter was splintered, and the woman's head was nothing more than a crushed, bloody pulp. I stood there, gaping like an idiot, as the cashier tossed the mangled body aside with a satisfied smirk. "Merry fucking Christmas, Catherine," she hissed, flipping the body off with all three of her hands. She peeled off her blood-soaked apron and tossed it onto the counter. She stepped over the corpse, heading for the door. She paused in front of me, her extra arm still hanging out of her chest, slick with blood. It reached out, gently tilting my chin up, closing my gaping mouth. "Sorry you had to see that," she said with a shrug, sounding anything but sorry. It was long overdue. I couldn't speak, couldn't even breathe. I was sure she was going to kill me next, but she just smiled. The third arm twitched, then slowly retracted back into her chest. The skin sealed over it, leaving no trace. She looked almost normal again, except for the blood smeared across her face and the wild look in her eyes. "Tell the manager I quit," she said cheerfully, giving me a wink. "Merry Christmas." And just like that, she walked out the door, leaving me standing there in the wrecked coffee shop, alone with a dead body. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like